everyone, Kate here, and this week we will be discussing 1920s clothing budgeting tips. While these are historical tips, they are still very applicable to anyone wanting to build a stylish wardrobe on a budget, regardless of era. This video is based off a chapter selection from my 1925 Women's Institute of Dressmaking Care of Clothing edition. I've edited out some of the boring bits or the bits that are referring to other chapters in the book, but it's still quite a long article, so let's just jump right into it. There are a number of ways in which to get the greatest value for your clothing money. First, list all the wearable clothing that you have on hand, putting each article under the proper heading, such as outer garments, undergarments, etc. Then decide what you must purchase to complete your wardrobe for the season, remembering that a well-supplied wardrobe is a great satisfaction, yet contradictorily enough, can prove a real handicap. Have clothes enough for variety, with a good dress and a service dress always ready for emergencies. But don't plan too many clothes. They dwarf your own delight and can prove a burden rather than a joy. Girls planning their trousseau or women planning for a trip or vacation often oversupply their wardrobes, grow tired of the dresses, or have a craving for the new, the fulfilling of which is not justified with the number of good dresses on hand. To keep up with fashion and to know the joy of a new garment now and then, buy few things. Then treat yourself to a new dress occasionally. Plan according to your individual needs, remembering that the clothing you wear should always be in keeping with your social position and the community in which you live, and still be within your means. If, in order to be as well dressed as many of the people with whom you associate, you need to buy better clothes and yet have no more money with which to buy them, you will need to shop cautiously, do much of your own sewing, and arrange the budget fixtures cleverly so that the purchasing power of each dollar is at its maximum. Again, if you live in the country or in a small community where you have little or no need of formal evening clothes, it would be foolish to spend a large portion of your outer garment allowance for the purchase of an evening dress. A better plan would be to buy an afternoon gown of a type that can be worn for any evening affairs that you might have occasion to attend and serve as well for afternoon functions. When there is a predominating color in the wardrobe, such as blue, brown, or black for instance, this is certain to work out economically, because the same hat may be worn with 2 blue, 2 brown, or 2 black dresses, and the same shoes and accessories are always appropriate. If one color, blue for instance, is adhered to in the color scheme for 2 or more seasons, material may be used again and again, thus bringing about even greater economies. It is possible to be economical in this way, and at the same time know the joy of having just the right amount of color variety. For 2 or 3 colors that are becoming to you as an individual can be worked together so as to be friendly to one another, and at the same time economical when fabrics, trimmings, and accessories are selected. The right choice of fabrics, their handling, and their correct use determine to a large extent their life and adaptability. Knowledge leading to the right selection of materials and the right choice and combinations of colors entirely eliminates mistakes and makes every purchase sure and every dress, hat, or wrap a complete success. Use your knowledge of fabric, line, and color, and consider your own personality in purchasing even the smallest accessory, remembering that only women of wealth can afford to buy cheap material, for they can discard it after wearing it once or twice. The woman who can afford merely a limited number of gowns, however, should purchase the best materials she can procure for the money available. Money in dress does not mean you cannot have dresses that are entirely in accord with your plans and desires. A sense of style can be obtained at very little cost, and to your lasting gain through study, observation, and a constant watchfulness of the beauties of dress, the appropriate color, line, and fabric will make a dress becoming and suitable. As a start, take a fashion magazine or even a monthly fashion sheet and go through it, checking with a pencil the designs you like for yourself. And perhaps in addition, checking the collars, the sleeves, or the trimming to use in remodeling an old dress. Then go through the same book again, just as carefully, and plan what you need. One dress, one wrap, one skirt perhaps, and boil down your selection to fit your needs. In doing this, you must ask yourself concerning each selection, is it a design of which I shall grow tired? Will it look as well 3 months from now as when I first made it? Is it a dress that I can keep in perfect condition? If you have time for freshening and pressing, this question need give you no undue concern. A dainty little lady who was buying a pair of shoes tried on this pair and that pair and looked at each one carefully, planning whether she could wear them with both cloth and silk dresses. Very few people give so much attention to every little point in buying shoes, but this little lady's feet always look attractive, and her shoes always seem just the right for the dress and the occasion. The shoes are only part of the costume. One must remember in buying trimmings, purses, handkerchiefs, gloves, etc., to buy them to agree, for in buying the accessories, there is a real opportunity for emphasis of style and individuality. One often sees a woman dressed in good taste in a plain blue suit, simple hat and dark shoes, with a bright tie or a smart scarf, or a neat bright-colored purse that gives an up-to-the-minute note and lifts the costume out of the ordinary. Another woman, with money, receives an invitation to luncheon. Her clothes are all in need of repairing or cleaning. The shoes for a special dress have been worn with other dresses until they are much too worn out of shape and shabby to wear. The slip for the dress is in the wash. Then she hies herself to the store, buys a dress that is too long and definitely not for her in design and coloring. She buys new shoes. They are not what she wanted, but she does not have the time to shop further, and so she arrives at the luncheon in haste with a misfit dress and tight, inappropriate shoes, and all the guests wonder why she spent her money for them. Buy your clothes with deliberation, so they will look as though they belong to you, not as though they were bought in a hurry. To buy deliberately is the economical way. Emergency buying in clothes is like buying food from the delicatessen or in a can. It's makeshift and expensive. Buy for suitability, for smartness, and before you buy, think of all the uses to which you can and need put a garment. If it's a dress, what wrap or hat will you wear with it? Does it mean special shoes, hat, and gloves? If so, consider whether it can be worn with shoes, gloves, and a hat that you already have and are wearing with another costume. If you are plain, buy the nicest, loveliest materials you can find. If you are stout, buy good quality fabrics and make them with infinite care. If you are already beautiful, the kind of fabric or costume is not so important, but do justice to your good fortune by always buying so as to make yourself a beautiful picture. Give your clothes the very best care possible. Do not expect a garment that is never pressed, nor cleaned, nor hung on a hanger to look well, nor wear the maximum length of time. The greatest help of all in stretching the dollars in your clothing budget is to learn to make your own clothes. If you have never known the joy of making your own garments, and the great satisfaction that comes from having clothing that is individually becoming to you, that expresses your own personality, and yet costs very much less than ready-to-wear clothing, and is much more sustainably constructed, then you have indeed a pleasure in store. By no means overlook the possibilities of making beautiful and useful garments from those that have already had one or more seasons of usefulness. No conscientious person can deliberately be wasteful even though her allowance is not stinted. Many of even the wealthiest women give much consideration to the cost of their wardrobes, and use again and again lovely materials, not only because good fabric is always worth using, but often because as good or better style effects can be obtained from the old rather than from the new. If you can afford to do so, put aside for a season the dress that requires remodeling and buy a new one. Then, when you make over the first dress, it will seem to you newer and be less recognizable to your friends and acquaintances. When you have tried out your budget for a few months or a year, you may find that some changes are necessary or desirable. In that case, work out the percentages that fit with your needs more closely. When you hit upon a budget that seems best fitted to your needs, hold yourself to it strictly, allowing no temptation to lure you from it. Only in this way is the budget a workable, valuable plan. Once you have used a budget and realize what it can do for you, you will undoubtedly find that you will never care to return to the old, unplanned, unsatisfactory way of spending. And there we have it. Let me know down in the comments if you're planning on trying any of these suggestions, or if you have any interesting clothing budget ideas of your own. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! This video is made possible through the generous support of my Patreon members. Thank you.